Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Masterplan Tycoon Jumpstart Guide. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking mostly about Tier 1 and Tier 2 buildings. And you may say, well, I played this a little bit, I understand how it works. Look how far the water is. That's not good. So the way you want to have a jumpstart base is you need to have certain resources. Basically, Tier 1 buildings are what you need. Certain buildings require maintenance. Now, none of these do because these are your Tier 1 buildings. But you may think, okay, I know how to do it. You build a lumber camp and you build a sawmill and all this, which you can do. I'm actually going to move this back to here for now because I want this to be right here. And the beauty with storage units, and this is the best thing with storage units, is they are shared in a common location. So we're in the master zone right now. We're not in any of the missions, anything that's within the same zone. All the storage units are shared no matter where they are. They don't have to be touching, like here, they don't have to be touching for them to be shared. It doesn't work that way. You can place them anywhere. So the way you want to go about it, and here it's showing you where to place these in the quarries and Well, that's not the most, to me, that's not the best way. What you want to do is you want to load up on certain things because anything can be drawn from this. So go right back to the beginning. You want to load up a bunch of wells, but the problem is you can't because you don't have any money. Or I should say money. We don't have any planks. Planks are we got to start with, of course. So we can just start off with your basic setup, which we can do up here. Right click, of course, a lumber camp, and then we'll go to a sawmill, and then we'll put in a storage unit, which is going to be one that's going to be feeding us for a long time. So the lumber camp basically makes 2 trees every 1 minute, 1 every 30 seconds. This uses 1 every 30 seconds. So 1 to 1 is the best way to do this. But the thing is, though, is that some buildings require trees as well, or certain things do require trees. But to start off, this is perfectly fine. Same thing with the quarries. You want to get your quarries up and running. Even just 1 is fine, and storage units are, they're not expensive. I think they're four stone or something like that. And you want to just get this up and running because your basic buildings cost stone and they cost planks. None of your basics they don't cost trees at all. The next one is water. So now we can start going into prioritizing by using storage units. And what I mean by that is instead of running, I don't know what we have right now that'll want this, but certain things for maintenance will want fish and they'll want water. So instead of getting 1 water, 1 fish for everyone, no, ramp it up. And what I mean by that is we have materials coming in right now. Wells cost 2 planks. You can hold shift and you can just copy a bunch of these, however many you can afford. This should be a good amount. And the beauty with this, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it from here, is actually move this one here, is they can all be drug into 1 storage unit. And the beauty behind that is that buildings, you can store anything in a storage building, and you can withdraw anything from a storage building, as due to it saying any, of course. So the issue with this right now is that it's full because we have plenty of water from over here because water is very quick. This is just your starter thing. And you may say, oh, you're ruining your lumber camp. No, because lumber camps have the ability to plant and also to cut. So because we have a bunch of planks, what we want to do is we want to start setting up. I can actually, if I push this back a bit more, is the next thing we want to do is get our fish going. And the way that these work that are a bit kind of challenging is you have to, exporting is on the right-hand side, importing is always on the left-hand side. But a little location down here would be a perfect spot to put down a bunch of fisheries. And you shift-click. As long as they're 1 full tile away, you can do something like this. And we could even probably put one maybe down in here. And then again, what you want to do is you want to put a storage unit right here. And you may say, well, this doesn't make any sense. Why do you want to have 5 or 6 of one thing? Well, it's because whenever you have something that requires fish or water as an import, you can export it from any storage unit. Because like I said, they all share everything. No matter what the tier is, anything that's within 1 map shares everything. Now, quarry is the same thing. Let's go back into our quarry. We should have a bunch of stone. Actually, they take planks, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to put a bunch of these, as many as we can kind of fit in here, where it would, and this one's not going to work there just because of how it's set up. And then what we can do is basically just drag this down to here. We can move this one. It might work there, and just kind of put this where it will drag. And you can always move things after it's finished. You just want to get the first one in, so which means we should be able to drag all these up to here, drag this one to here. So is that one not going to reach? It's because of this. That should reach now. or maybe just move all these down one. And the radius that they have, you can see the radius of different buildings. Some radiuses are small, some are larger, like the stone. The ones like water are pretty big. The one that are trees or lumber camps are very, very big. So as you can see right now, we're pulling in 6 stone nodes, 5 fish nodes, 6 plus this one over here. And when anytime something is red, that means that it's full. So right now, the any is water, and that means water is full. Nothing is using water. Fish is now full. Planks and stone are obviously getting up there as well, which is great. And that's kind of where we're at for this. Now, you might have to kind of do a little bit of this here to advance, because it wants you to move the fishery. You have to kind of mess with some of this stuff a little bit. It's kind of annoying, but you have to kind of like put one here. Just to kind of advance the, I think I might actually have it click the wrong way, but nonetheless, it'll keep on rocking here. So now we have all of our starter buildings, except we have lumber and we have sawmills. And because this is a 1-to-1, this is 1 every 30 seconds. This is 1, or getting 2 every 1 every 30 seconds. But the issue with trees is the fact that if you have them planting and growing at the same time, it takes a lot longer to do it. So what I like to do is we're going to come in here, we're going to get rid of the storage, we're going to get rid of the sawmill, and we're going to do basically the same thing we have here with the lumber camps. Now we should be able to get a whole bunch of these because they cost planks. And the way I like to do this is you alternate ones that are growing, and you alternate ones that are actually, I could have moved this all the way back here, but it's fine. So you have one here that's just cutting. You have this one here that's doing both. You have this one that's just doing cutting. This one is doing both. This one's just doing cutting. This one's doing both. This one's doing cutting, and then this one is doing both. Which means we should have one more here as well that's just doing cutting. And so this should actually, we want to have this not doing cutting. And we want to have so not doing cutting, right? Not doing cutting, which is going to be this one. And then we have not doing cutting here. And the reason why is because you want them to plant. Because eventually you want this whole thing to be green, a big wall of green. And of course, you obviously, and right click opens up this menu, by the way. And then down here is your storage unit. Now we should put this right in the middle. It will take away some of this space. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So you might want to pull it back out a little bit. But it should be okay. Also, blue lines can overlap each other. That's not a problem. And you may say, well, this seems a bit kind of extreme. Well, the thing is, as we go along, like this is going to fill up super fast. But as we go along, with research, which we don't have yet, is you can actually expand your storage to be 125, 150, 200, etc., as it goes on. So now what we can do, we can actually pull this back even further, because this is going to be plenty of lumber for these lumber camps. Plenty. But now we have to do some lumber camps, or to make planks. And planks basically are going to be used for various things. But it's basically 1-to-1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have, how many do we have? We have 8 or 9 here. So we could very easily put probably 4 here. I could probably even put another one. That should probably be, because the thing is that once things fill up, they fill up, right? And that's kind of the beauty with the way these systems work, is when they fill up, they fill up. And we can come down here and put another storage unit. I call them storage units, storage building. Doesn't really matter what you call it, because once they fill up, and you say, "Oh, it's so overkill." It's not really, because things are going to be pulling from this, and the idea is to get the basics of this set up in the beginning. Because what you can do is you can easily expand this. You can expand this completely all the way down to here. You can expand it. You can expand. I mean, these are a bit harder because you can't plant rock, obviously, but you can expand them just like the fisheries. You can run fisheries along this whole thing here, and it works out pretty well, I think. So since we're moving along here, you kind of have to follow not really a tutorial, but it's kind of the tutorial, because right now we have fish, we have water, we have planks, and we have stone or trees, and we have stone, and you can tell all that by clicking on this, and we are full with everything. We're full. So now it's like, okay, well, now we got to go over to tier 1. So what do? We need all these things for tier 1s. And the thing is with these is farms need fish and water. Mills take fish and water. Wells don't take anything. Bakeries take fish and water. breweries take fish and water, clothing takes fish and water. That's basically what the maintenance is right now. And then brick, which we don't have this yet. This is going to go into, when we go to the brick mission, of course, that requires bread, beer, and clothing. So that's why we got to make all these things here. Now you may say, okay, well, how do we go about doing it? Well, we do it the same, we kind of do it the same way. Is you want to get bread. So what we want to do is bread and beer. It's all the same farm. It's grain. Grain or come from, and a lot of other things come from grain too. So you want to do something very similar to this. Now grain is very, very, it's 1 every 30 seconds, just kind of how this works. So you could set something up, yeah, probably even right in here. You don't want to have these overlapping too much as far as in the back here, but we're not really overlapping. So just to get some grain going, I kind of want to do it where we can expand the grain if we really need to. So maybe we can just do it, let's see, we could probably do it, yeah, we can do it kind of where it's at. I just don't want to overlap this too much. 1, 2, 3, and then, all right, I'm just going to move everything. Actually, that's fine. We don't have to keep doing this because we want to make a whole bunch of these. And it's going to be basically doing the same thing. That this one here is going to be not planting. This is going to be gathering. This one's going to be not gathering. This one's going to be gathering, not gathering, gathering, of course. And this one's going to be not gathering. This one's going to be gathering. This one's going to be, hold on, we got this one's gathering. This one's going to be planting. This one's going to be gathering. And these go at the same speed as these go, in the sense that you get 2 per minute or 1 every 30 seconds. And it wants you to place a mill. It wants you to just, we don't want to do that. We want to do kind of how we did it before. This is a lot more than this. And again, we can expand on this even further, which I think we should do that right now, actually. Do that. And this, and then we're going to have this one here. This one is doing gathering, and this one's going to do planting only, and then this one's going to do gathering only. And you may say, why don't you have them do both? Well, the farming, the gathering, you get 1 every second, or 1 every 30 seconds, and the planting, you actually end up planting more than 1 node per cycle, I guess you want to call it that. So it's good to not, in my opinion, do it that way. And you are going to lose some, but as you see here, you're never going to run out of this, because see how dense this is, and that's because of them planting the trees. So what we could do is we could do the exact same thing with this as we did with the trees. And you may say you don't really like doing it this way, and that's perfectly fine. But to me, this is the best way to get a jump start, in a sense, on things. Because now we have everything being filled at a ridiculously fast rate. Because if you look at it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 bringing in. So we're getting, let's see, we're getting 2 every minute. That's 10 every minute. We're getting 1 every 6 seconds is coming into this, which is pretty quickly, if you ask me. Now, mills are the same thing. Okay, it's like, well, how many mills do we need? Well, mills are one of those things where you don't want to, you have to go up and down, so you can't really do it exactly the same way. But we can, oh, this one can go. I can move this one up. And as you see there, the mills actually, or not the mills, I'm just going to do 4 for now. And we could do bakeries. And how many bakeries do we do? We don't know how many bakeries. But if you look at the mills, this is 1 grain for 2 meal every 30 seconds. This is 2 meal every 45 seconds. So we could easily do, 2 to 3. So this is one, it's like, okay, well, should we run all these into a storage unit? And the answer is maybe. Now, can you set this up a little bit more space efficient? And the answer is not really. You kind of have to do it like this. It's not that efficient as far as space, but that doesn't really matter. And one thing that you do want to kind of keep in mind is that one item can only travel along one path at one time. So if you have this all the way extended out to here, it's such a long time for it to get what it needs to get. So what we're going to do is we have the farm, we have the mill, and we have the bakeries. So this is, we need 2 every 45 seconds. This we're getting 2 every 30 seconds. So 3 of these can do 2 of these, which is exactly kind of how we're set up, right? Which is a good thing. So what we can do is we can come up to here, but the problem with this is we need water. So we can't run it that way. You want to run these, again, into a storage unit. You may say, wow, this doesn't make any sense. It does, for the sense of it makes things easier, because it's very easy to add more of these onto this line and run them up into here. Saying this, it's easier to add more of these than to add a whole nother setup. Because then once something fills up, like meal, it fills up, it's filled, right? Basically how it is. The brick mission we have to be a little careful with, but all we really got to do, honestly, is we put one of these right here. And then, well, we wouldn't actually have to put it here, but this will then funnel everything we need into this, because we're putting everything into a storage unit. And this, it may seem a bit overkill, but trust me, it's going to work. And look at this. We're actually pulling in more from over here now. And again, this is all expandable. That's the whole point of it. It could all be expanded down. You could easily mirror, make another one of these somewhere else, and go from there. So what we got to do, though, is now we have to get into the bakery. So what we can do with the bakery is, remember, we have 3 to 2. But we want to put the bakery over here because, why? Well, because we need to use water. But we have water coming in over here, so how are we going to do that? Well, we do it just like this. It's very, very simple. Come in here, you want to do a bakery. And we can do, let's just say we do 1, 2, actually it's not, I'm going to start it here because it's not going to fit. Oh, maybe it will fit. Here and here. So obviously we're opening up other things here. It's telling you how to do all of these, so I might actually have to do this. But the way you basically would do it is you just run them all together because there's no real limit on how good or bad you can do this. Now you can't, unfortunately, I don't think you can just, you may have to do this just to satisfy this to go along, but we want to go in here, we want to add another one of these, and then we are making bread. And look how fast this is. We're 3 bread every 45 seconds, so 1 every 15 seconds, time 4, so we're basically getting 1 bread every 5 seconds, 4 seconds. It's something ridiculous like that, which is awesome, by the way. It's kind of good. Now, you can only have one thing going in at one time, so there can be a bottleneck sometimes, but it's not really a huge deal. Now, for argument's sake, we have to do this. So all we really got to do is connect that. It'll satisfy that. It'll turn that one off. All we got to come down here is grab another bakery, which can go right here. And then we also then have to grab a well to go to the bakery, which we can just put a well here. This is just to satisfy this to move along. If you're doing it that way, all right, take that one away. Delete this one, and then we do the meal, this to this, and there you go, and then we delete this one. That's all it's to it. So now what it's like, okay, well, what do we do now? Well, we have to go into the brick mission. And the brick mission needs what? It needs stone, it needs bread, but guess what? We have how much we have. Bread is full. Everything is full. So that's exactly what you need to do to go into this mission. Because you got to feed things into this for it to work. Now, this wants us to do it a little bit differently. Excuse me. So we may have to just kind of, again, follow how this goes a little bit. It's a little annoying. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to grab a quarry from all the way down here, honestly. I wish you could just kind of click through these a little bit. But we may have to do some finagling as far as getting some stone up here. That doesn't make any sense why we have to do that. But in any case, we can do it like that. We come in here, we can delete this. So this is just about using, excuse me, how you're doing. You got to follow this stuff, the quarries. Now, it should let me place a quarry here. Yes, I can place a quarry right here. Move this out of the way. The quarry is not going to do anything, but it lets you connect it, and that's what you got to do the little kind of side tutorials. But what we're doing here, guys, we're actually, oh Jesus, wanting us to do everything like this. So I don't want to actually do that. I want to then connect it back up. So we finished level tier 1, I guess. We have a great setup here. It's very expandable. And if you notice that you're running out of something, all you really got to do is come in here and say, you know what? We want to have this one do planting too. Right? Come up here, you want to have this one doing planting too. And that's all you have to do. And you can figure out what you need, what you don't need. And as far as ones that are just planting as well, you could put those here, but remember, it does eat into the space that you have. So theoretically, you could have a line of these that are just doing harvesting. You could have a line behind it that are just doing planting, but you want to have some overlap. It's just the way that it works. Now, if you move this, would that be better? Potentially, yes. But for now, we're just going to leave it where it is. Again, you can move. Any building can be moved very easy by clicking and dragging. But as you see, everything is full anyway. So, well, this one's going to be full in a second here. But again, when things are idle like they are now, this will all be replenished, just like this will be replenished, etc., etc. And it's very easy to expand. So that's the end of the, I guess you would call it the tier 0 into tier 1. We don't have beer or clothing yet or anything like that because we're not set up for that. We don't need it quite yet. But for tier 0, this is pretty much my jumpstart base of it. And as you see, when things sit idle, eventually you don't want anything to sit idle, by the way. You want things to always be working. You can always adjust. You can always then grab another grain farm and just stick it right here. Have that make grain. Things are very, very adjustable. But doing it this way in lines like this or in a bit of a grouping like this, it makes it very easy to expand upon what you have. And then just like this, using your storage units the way they're intended to. Look at this. Everything is full. Everything is full that we've made so far, and we're just waiting to go to the brick mission, which we'll take that into next episodes. Thank you guys for joining me. This has been a fun kind of jumpstart guide for Masterplan Tycoon. I do plan to do this for every tier. I think there's 7 or 8 or 9 different tiers. So stay tuned for Tier 1 Jumpstart Guide. Thank you so much for watching me. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving me a like as well as a comment. It would be much appreciated. And if you're enjoying the videos on my channel, hit that subscribe button, tick the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything. Also, in the description below, The Ontario Outdoorsman, my second YouTube channel. If you'd be so kind to head on over there, leave me a subscribe. Much appreciated, and I'll catch you guys next time.